Well, you never know who you're going to meet at a migrant conference in Marrakesh, and I'm with Roger Beckham. He's actually an elected member in the, is it the German parliament, Roger? Or
It's not the federal parliament, it's a parliament of a federal state of North Rhine-Westphalia.
Okay, then. And you're with the Alternative for Germany, correct?
Right, yeah.
Now, tell our viewers a little about Alternative for Germany.
Well, we are kind of a right-wing party which is conservative, liberal people. And actually we are more or less there because Angela Merkel is in charge. Yes. Because she said politics in Germany are without an alternative. And regarding energy questions, regarding migrants and other stuff. And that's the reason why we were founded.
And it's interesting, I know Alternative for Germany just for having a differing viewpoint about migration into your country. You get slammed with all kinds of labels that you're xenophobic, you're Islamophobic. How would you respond to that?
We are not at all xenophobic or something like this, but we want to talk about all aspects of migration, not only as a kind of diversity is the best thing in the world, and migration is always something which brings wealth to the people. Well, it does not for everybody in Germany, and we would like to talk about what's good for Germany, what's German interests.
And tell us about Germany right now, Roger. There's been, something like 1 million Syrian migrants that have been allowed into Germany. Angela Merkel thinks this is the greatest thing ever. What do Germans in the country think about this kind of huge mass migration coming into your nation?
Well, I'm not quite sure if it's really 1 million of Syrian people, but if at least 1 million of Syrian, Afghani people, people from Pakistan and from all over the world, more or less, but mostly Syrian people, you're right. And quite a few, most people, I think, are really frightened of what's coming into Germany regarding social welfare, regarding crime, regarding cultural things, religious conflicts and all the stuff which is going on in Germany. You have more or less every day young German women who are raped or killed or injured or whatever. And that's what it's all about in Germany.
This is truly egregious and terrifying, the fact that is happening to young German women. Are you hopeful of any kind of assimilation of these 1 million plus migrants coming to Germany, or do you see a Germany where there's always going to be these silos of different ethnic groups, different cultural groups, and they're never going to buy into what Germany is?
Well, that's a question. How could you assimilate hundreds of thousands or even million people from a definitely total different background, cultural background, religious background, and regarding educational things as well? How could we assimilate these people? I'm sure we can't. Mrs. Merkel said, "Wir schaffen das," so we will manage it. And so far, within the last years, we do not manage it, and I don't see anything which could make it happen.
And Roger, what do the apologists say when you show them the statistics, when you show them what you just said, young German women getting harassed and even raped by people who have a different cultural mindset, especially towards women? How do they make a case for this mass migration?
Well, one of the apologies of Mrs. Merkel, our Chancellor, is, well, now the people are here and now we have to manage it. Somehow we have to put even more money in the system. We have to bargain every day how life goes on. That's what they say. We have to go to the migrants and accept what they are and how they live, and we have to give up parts of ourselves.
Wait a minute. Germans have to accept?
Yeah. That's what the Green Party, members of the Green Party in Germany say. We have to bargain, we have to handle every day new with these migrants. Every day is new, nothing is really like it was before, nothing should be provided. So it's an experiment, more or less. Experiment making not a people but a population somewhere in the middle of Europe.
This is fascinating. It almost sounds like instead of making...
It's terrifying.
No, I mean, because it almost sounds like those in charge are saying Germans have to become more like the migrants as opposed to the migrants becoming more like Germans.
Well, we have to understand how they live, and they have to be, the society is even more and more divided. more split in different societies, and that's what it's all about.
And I mean, what's troubling is that you look at other European countries, for example, the United Kingdom, there are more than 80 Sharia courts, I understand. So it's almost like one law for everybody, another law for those of different cultures. Do you think this is the way Germany's going?
I think I'm frightened that it is like this, but I think so, at least how it looks like now. But, well, we are working against it, and that's the reason why we are there.
Now, Roger, of course, we've come all the way from Toronto to attend the United Nations Global Compact for Migration. Surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, we're not allowed in. I guess we don't follow the rules of the typical media stenographers that are allowed in. From what you've seen of this Global Compact on Migration, what are your interpretations?
Well, I guess quite a few people here, they want the right thing, but they neglect main topics which should be taken hands on. And of course it is the immense population which we'll have in about 20 or 30 years in Africa. Now we have about 1.2 billion people in Africa. In about 30 years we will have 2.5 billion people in Africa. So where will these people go?
Well, that is a huge question, and I know the UN says right now there's something like 258 million people in the world that they describe as migrants in the here and now. But what seems to be a little disturbing too is this narrative that migration to any country you choose is a human right. What do you make of that?
Well, it's not a human right, but this compact is a first step, or a second step even, that it becomes a human right, that everybody can go everywhere. So no border, no nation. That's their politics. And we're definitely against it. It's not good for us, definitely not. And it's even not good for the people who come to us, because many of these migrants, especially Africans, are in Rome or Hamburg, Berlin, Paris, wherever, and they won't be a real part of society. They will just be there and like diasporas who are relying on welfare, and that's a real problem.
And yet, even with all the problems you've outlined in Germany under Merkel's policy of welcoming so many migrants in, I would imagine the likes of Miss Merkel, she's totally for this kind of a migrant compact.
It's an idea, more or less, I think.
Really?
I think so, because the German government, as we learned, was one of the main states who put it forward.
Well, let me ask you this. The experiment in Germany, from what you're telling me, Roger, doesn't seem to be working. It sounds like a disaster, quite frankly. Why?
Just one example. Go to a German Christmas market at the moment. If you're in Munich, if you're in Dresden, wherever, you will have big stone obstacles to prevent people committing suicide or whatever, terrorist attacks everywhere.
You know, we see that in our city too, around arenas and stadia, the giant concrete barriers and the dump trucks to prevent that. So I know what you speak of. But what I'm wondering is that if the German experiment has failed, at least according to most Germans, that if we were to speak to them, then why do the likes of an Angela Merkel want to make this even more prevalent and make the entire world sign on to this?
I have no idea, actually. I can't understand it as well. I have no idea, simply no idea. I don't know. I don't know why or for which reasons she wants to harm our own people or Europe as a whole.
Is it merely just virtue signaling? Like, look how generous, look how benevolent we are, regardless of the consequences?
Perhaps it's a mixture, like virtue, or like you say in German, Gutmensch, like I'm a better person, I'm morally higher, and perhaps what she did in 2015 in the end, when they let them all in, she thinks, well, now at least we have a legal basis for the next time, and so I can't be, I'm doing it just because a compact is there which makes me to do it. I don't know.
And conversely, with the elections moving forward in Germany, do you sense any kind of a backlash amongst common German people that have had enough of this, and maybe is that an opportunity for your party?
Of course, look at the elections, look at the polls. AfD, Alternative Germany, is growing every day, and so well, at least we hope that within the next years we will be the ruling party, and we will be in charge for the government.
And one last question, Roger. Like I said, we haven't been allowed in there, but we do have the 30-odd page document of the Migrant Compact. I don't know if you've read it. I assume you have. What one declaration or proposal in that contract stood out to you as being the most troublesome?
Well, there are quite a few, quite a few troublesome. But for instance, like we talk about all this stuff, there are some rules concerning media. Like they want to make media talk just positive about migration. Migration just as something which is, well, contributing to society for everybody. Yes. And media which does not tell the story, they should be put down.
Not tell the story, tell their story. And if we're not telling the proper story, the proper narrative, we need to be re-educated, or we have to be shunned, which is the case for us for certain. Any other disturbing proposal that you saw in the contract?
Well, for instance, some point is that I don't know how to say this actually, but social. When you get in your home country, you get. When you retire, you get social points. I don't know how to say this in German. And pardon me? Pay like a pension. You get the money which you earned in, I don't know, Ghana, Mali, Senegal, wherever. You should get this in Germany, France as well. How should this function? They send money to Germany. How is a pension? How much is it worth in Senegal when they send it to Europe? It's a social question. It's a cultural question. It's a social question as well.
So it's almost like, if I understand what you're saying correctly, Roger, that they're double dipping. They're getting the benefits of the host country, plus they're getting the benefits from the country they left.
And the other point is the main topic, the main problem of our world in those days is the explosion of the population. Like the immense growth of population, and as far as I remember it, there is nothing about this problem in this compact.
Interesting. So basically they're exporting the population problem, and it's kind of funny too when you look at a lot of the European countries that want nothing to do with this, Hungary, Croatia, and the list goes on. Many of these countries are under 10 million in population. I mean, if they were even to take in the numbers that Germany did, their culture is probably over.
They would perish, right? Yeah, and look at the countries which were here. Mostly countries which want to get rid of people. Not the countries which are target countries like Poland, Hungary, Australia, US, and so on. Yeah.
Well, Roger, it was fascinating talking to you, and good luck in the future with the Alternative for Germany.
Same for you. Thank you very much.
Hey folks, to see all our reports that you're not going to see anywhere else, please go to rebelun.com. That's rebelun.com. And while you're there, if you can, please make a donation so that we can bring you the kind of journalism you are not going to receive anywhere else.